geologists on shore might like a sample.
You look good on cams and sonar as well. You look clear all around you.
Okay. Try to get a tow here. It's not the best, but the tether's still pulling me.
For you folks at home,
serious.
usually brown rocks in an area where lava has erupted on the seafloor are the things we go, ugh, yuck, at.
Okay, video, you want to zoom
Because
here?
the surfaces can be altered, and
like
then, you know, you
perfect
can't
position.
tell
Move
what's
it to the right.
inside.
Right.
So when we see a dark area like this that might be broken and exposing the inside, we get pretty excited.
Okay, so for those of you who've joined, who have been on from the start, you'll see that we're pretty much in the same area where we got that first image of the urchin. And so we'll be, as soon as we get this image, we're going to be moving along because we have a lot of ground to cover.
So Sirius underway.
Could we just kind of
Yes.
pan down a
almost stopped.
little bit below once you're finished with the zoom, just to see if this is a place where something's broken off?
Okay.
Just to know whether or
The
not
video's
maybe we
clear
can
with this.
All right.
find another spot like this
if you
further
go partial,
on.
I'll tilt down.
Partial.
Oh, look at that fish darting in and out.
Yeah.
Okay, this is.
Doesn't
what
look
we
like
see
there's
here.
anything that's broken off that specific area.
No.
Generally speaking, you know, if there's a loose rock, we like to try to pick something up at the beginning of the
Well,
knot,
those
just
loose
in
rocks,
case.
those loose rocks that are there right now, are they anything that you're interested in? They're not the black ones. I don't know. Is that one where the lasers are pointed? That looks like it's attached.
Yeah, that looks
That's
Yeah,
attached. That's not gonna,
I'm
you're not going to be able to
thinking-
get that.
More likely the one that's up to the right of it.
That looks like that might be attached
Yeah.
too.
Video, if you go in a little bit more, you can see.
I think.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah, it looks like it blends in with everything to the right, all those nodules.
Okay. Well,
By that I've got
Let's-
75.
let's
if I
see
can.
maybe then if we can mosey
Full
on.
line. All right.
And then we may move a little bit more backwards, so you're still in a good position.
Okay, so I'll get out a little bit ahead to 45 degrees, and then we can move Sirius again. Does that sound good?
Yeah. I'm.
The morphology of
Good
what
with
we
that.
just zoomed in on in terms of you know, lava types is similar to what's called shelly lava, for the fact that it, you know, kind of looks like a bunch of shells stacked up on top of one another. And this represents very fluid lava that erupts relatively rapidly, covers in sheets, more or less, the surface that it's erupting on. This stuff is pretty common up near the top of the Kilauea volcano on Hawaii. That's the active volcano on Hawaii Island, the big island in the chain. And there's this saying that if you're walking on Shelly Pahoehoe, you wear either gloves or bandages, because this stuff is often very sharp, and you can kind of break through it a little bit. You know, you're not going to break through and fall into hot lava, but it'll cut you up. So you wear jeans, you wear high-top hiking boots, and you wear gloves.
You let the
'Cause
current
you're
rotate the
going to
craft
fall
all the way
down,
around.
and you want to put your hand out,
Oh yeah.
and it's going to
I
get
just noticed that.
just ripped up.
That's odd.
Wow.
Huh.
We'll have to be very careful of our right side. I don't think it will do any good to move it back because it's pretty loose.
Yeah. Oh, I do have a pretty good overhead visual
Yeah.
of it right now. So
If we get into higher terrain, we'll have to be very careful.
yeah.
We shouldn't see any of that kind of terrain until towards the end anyway.
Okay. Hopefully these currents are tidal and they'll die within an hour or two for the next watch. Hopefully.
So again, seeing these abundant demo sponges, the white encrusting organisms that are at the tops of these rocks.
Yeah, and I'm pretty much directly on top of you, pilot.
Okay.
We've
Keep going.
17 delta, so
Yeah.
We're not moving
safe
anymore.
position.
Either
Yeah.
ship.
One of the things that's really surprising
Yeah,
me
I'll have to make sure I keep him.
is there's very little
Are those lasers
sediment, very
offset?
little, loose
Could be.
debris.
Well, that current is ripping along.
Yeah.
So not much is going to stay there. So the organisms that we see there are ones that have either been adapted, they're
wonder if the
modal,
current
they can move
relaxed a
along,
little
and they're
and is
adapted to
losing you,
hang on tightly to
letting you
other
come back
things, or
towards
for
me or
the
something. I feel like you shouldn't be moving so much.
sessile organisms, those that are attached to the bottom and can't move. They're attached really firmly. So that sponge has a very broad attachment base, and we saw that
you're facing
the corals
north
were
now.
either,
Oh, no,
the
you're facing
octocorals were
335.
very
Yeah,
low,
okay.
I
a
separated
firm
somewhere,
attachment
but
base as well.
I have yet to
Okay, we're moving along now.
get there.
Gotcha.
Again, the pilot's
Okay,
dealing with the
back up a
currents,
little.
getting repositioned.
Keep myself centered.
So if you've just joined us, we're on the Okeanos Explorer, NOAA's exploration
Okay.
vessel.
I'm out ahead now.
And we're diving
come
with the
down.
Deep Discoverer ROV and the Sirius ROV as well on the Mariana Trench in a location called Farallon de Medina,
come
or
down with me?
FDM. I'm
Yes.
Shirley
Just
Pomponi from
a
Harbor
little
Branch
bit.
Oceanographic Institute, Florida Atlantic University.
What about,
And the other
19
science
Delta?
lead is...
I am Patty
Delta,
Fryer.
come
I am
down
a
a
marine
little.
geologist professor at the University of Hawaii, Manoa.
I'm gonna
And
take-
we
move
are
the craft
located
around.
on the
It
island of
Puts me
Oahu.
out there.
Yeah.
And I've been
Copy that.
studying the
and
Mariana
down to
region
15
for
Delta.
quite a long
Okay.
time.
Okay, Patty, what we're seeing here now looks like there's some loose rocks. Are there any of those
You
that
can
you're
move Sirius,
interested
like,
in, or that
15
any
meters
of our
closer to me if you want.
geologists on shore are interested in? The
yeah.
pilots
Relax
are
the
in a
tether.
position now where we could actually pick one up if you'd like.
RV nav.
What do you think, Patty? You want one of those rocks?
I'm just thinking that this pile of stuff is tailless, not in place. We prefer to pick up rocks that might have fallen off, some feature that's actually attached to the bottom, because then we get a better sense for the context of the material. Although, it's useful to have
I'm actually
any
gonna go
kind
slightly-
of
let's look at the
sample
difference
from
between the delta and
new
the
features.
Shall we make a decision about
Sure.
whether we want to sample while we're sitting here? So we
I
can-
think not. We're going to
Okay.
be going along this ridge, and from what
Okay,
we've
so-
seen on the ridge before is we should.
Okay, so pilot, you
Yes.
can continue moving.
Okay.
We're not going to collect any of these rock samples here. And we're seeing lots of, okay, so thanks, pilot. We're seeing quite a few of these green eye. I'm enjoying seeing Bruce's chats. He's like one green eye, two green eye, three
You
green
follow me
eye,
with the
four green
lasers?
eye. And he also noted
yes.
that we're seeing these really close to the bottom. They're not up in that very strong current above the bottom.
Do you want me to bring minis up here?
No, that's okay. Just as I come around, I don't want to block
Yeah.
it out. Okay, hydraulics coming on.
Our depth is 533 meters.
I'm gonna rotate down, or
Okay.
sorry, pan down.
And our goal, I believe, let me see my little, well, I know that's for tomorrow. I think it's about 427. So we have a way to go. 5-1. 497. Okay, so our this,
Okay.
but it's
We'll
a
hope that
fairly
takes a
long,
while
it's
to work
fairly
back there.
shallow slope, and we got a long
Down
way to
HPO.
cover across ground.
Sable HPO.
It's definitely unusual. Okay, so you're on your way to me?
Yes, right now.
Yeah, right now we're finishing up a 15-meter move, but it's close to being done.
Okay. Alright, well, I'll go see if there's anything nearby to zoom in on, and then we can do another move.
Yeah.
Shoot down there.
Yes, this is Bruce. If there's
Yeah,
time,
ready
maybe
when
we
you
could
are.
zoom in on one of the green eyes.
Just
That might help us
log
get
in,
a better identification for species
check
later
real
on,
quick.
please.
Pilot,
Yes.
excuse me. Maybe I want to speak to the videographer. If we have time,
Yeah,
and
we
can
can.
zoom in on the.
These little green fish?
Yeah, we need to pilot.
Okay. Zoom in on one of the green-eyed fish,
Alright,
so we could get a good look. Thank
If-
you, pilot.
you're welcome. Okay, video. Can zoom in on this fish. I think you might have hit his face, unfortunately. Let me just adjust. You
There's
can
also
stay
a big
there.
one slightly to your,
There's another one in your upper right as well.
There we go.
Coming out.
Yep.
He came out to get his beauty shot.
And in that, as we were zooming in, we also saw a hexactinellid sponge, maybe a faria.
Oh, come on, little guy. So I'm actually down in a little depression.
He
here,
doesn't
and the
want his
current's
head
better,
photographed.
So it's not as crazy. Can we just stay here all day?
Well, this
So,
guy.
Beautiful.
How many
this
of
guy's a
these
poser.
Chlorophthalmus species are here in CMI? Can you kind of narrow down your range of possibilities?
Nav, has the surface current decreased at all?
This is Bruce. I actually can't. I haven't done
Okay.
the research
That would
on
indicate
that,
the
and I'm
tidal
not
cycle
sure if there are any records of
Pulling
the
out.
genus from
All right,
CNMI. I'll have to look. I can do that in the next
That's a
few
very
minutes.
Thanks, pilot.
There are a number of species in the genus. There are some undescribed species that I know of. I know a couple of people that are working on these, one person in Australia and somebody else here in the U.S. So figuring these out could be difficult if we can figure them out at all, but that video should help.
Okay, well, that's real good.
Just do this one now, video.
Yep.
Yep,
Gonna
there's another one. I think
try
we're
another
good.
one for you.
This is
Yeah,
the,
there are a couple of them in that
back view.
frame.
Oh,
So I'm wondering what they're doing. Is that a
They're
feeding?
eating.
So that's a
Axon.
you might be trying to hide from the lights.
You think?
Well, this is
With those
Bruce
big
again.
eyes.
They could be going for small crustaceans that are down under the rocks and among the rocks and the sediments. They're predators. All the fish down here are carnivores because there are no plants.
right.
So they could be feeding on a very small crustacean.
Okay, pilot, we can zoom out on that. Roland and pilot, we can move on.
All right, thank you.
Video's clear.
All right, you can go live video. Now we'll move on.
Nice depression.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Do you want to keep going at 335?
Seems to work. If that's what.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nav
pretty
thinks.
much right ahead. So
Let me. I guess I'll get a little bit
Yeah.
ahead. I don't want to pop out of this depression and get carried away.
Yeah.
So for those of you who can hear other voices in the background, there's the pilot and the co-pilot, navigator speaking to each other, making sure they're positioning both of the vehicles so that it's stable.
Yeah, maybe this is a good time to introduce ourselves.
Yeah, that would be a great time to introduce yourselves.
We've been quite distracted here with the high currents. I haven't even been able to take my hands off to touch the comms, but I'm Carl McCletchy. I'm the pilot for the morning shift.
Doing an excellent job. Paul, who's our co-pilot?
Carl.
Yes,
Yeah.
Carl is pilot.
Oh,
and,
sorry, Carl's the pilot.
That's okay.
Yes, Sean is sitting co-pilot right now.
Okay.
And I'm Andy Lister, and I am in navigation for this morning. And we are all from Global Foundation for Ocean Exploration, happy and excited to be working with our partners here.
And although you can't see me off to the corner, Roland Bryan, I'm the video engineer. I'm hidden from view. It's video's prerogative to control the camera so we're not viewed. And we have Tara sitting in the back row, as well as Annie, both doing the video clipping. And you can also see all of that in Stream
All
3.
right. I think I'm moving along pretty well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we all operate as an integrated team. Oh, that's
Ooh.
pretty.
Wow.
Let's take a look at that.
Let's do that. Funny thing about sidling sideways is things really surprise you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not rocks. We're looking for rocks.
Squat lobster over there hanging onto the rock for dear life. Now this is an
okay.
area.
Mm-hmm. So is this another Yep, this is another bamboo coral, right? Yep. And so the science.
Another bamboo coral. Okay.
Yep. And the scientific. Oh, and look at that. There's a squat lobster just hidden in that again. Right?
Looks like the same guy that we saw in the earlier one. Is that right?
Yep. Yep. Looks like it. Again, so the genus name of this bamboo coral is called Acanella. Acanella. So those of you who are armchair scientists, are what we call our educated and interested public who are viewing, again, common name for this is bamboo coral, and the genus name is Acanella.
So it is interesting that that squat lobster does look like the same sort that we saw in the Acanella that we saw earlier. And I believe, just based on the coloration I'm seeing, those are the only two of those squat lobsters we've seen. All the others that were on the substrate on the bottom were different from this one.
Yep.
Which makes sense. We know that there are a lot of these squat lobsters that are host-specific. They'll only be associated with one or a couple of different species of coral, which is one of the things that increases the diversity of species of squat lobster.
As we are stopped here, this area would be a good one to pick up a rock fragment if we can find one sort of close to or associated with some of these larger slabs.
Okay, well, Patty, maybe you can identify one that looks like we might want to pick that up, that's loose enough to pick up. The pilots usually have a very good eye for that as well.
They certainly do.
Go what? So I heard perhaps a rock from around here?
Yes, please. Yeah, looking for something that, looks like it's closely associated with one of these larger slabs and therefore might be essentially in place.
Okay.
It looks like there might be another squat lobster on the top left-hand side of that coral.
Yes, there is.
Looks like it.
So is that something you guys wanted to image, the squat lobster, or were you happy with the image we got of it?
I think we're happy with the image that we have of the other one.
Just going to back up a little. To,
great,
look
thank
for
you.
rocks
And then,
here.
look for some rocks.
Yeah, pilot, the large blocks that are right in the center of the screen have a few things, just down below them, slightly to the right, and if any of those are loose and of an appropriate size for you to be able to grab would be fantastic.
Let's see.
I want to immediately to the right of the lasers looked like it was
Which one?
above and to the right diagonally.
Do we have
Bob Stern?
Squat
Bob,
lobster or shrimp.
hi.
Oh, kind of on top of it?
Yeah.
Don't those look like sediments to you?
Initially I thought so, Bob, but, when we first set down, there were patches of flat stuff like this with cracks between them where there was rugose material coming up, and I just wondered if that was places where lava had escaped through relatively probably sheet flow-like things that had broken up. What do you think?
Watch lead. What do you think of this one with the lasers on it? It's about 15
They look like sediments to me.
centimeters.
But,
Patty, what do you think about that one that he's...
maybe you can
Sure.
give us an email or something about what they look like. I think the proof of the pudding will be in the tasting.
That is true. I think that looks like a great one to go for.
Okay.
Right next to the squat lobster.
Can you go wide video? Just got blown back a little. Back up.
So now for a shoreside scientist, just to let you know, I'll be modifying Stream 3, which is our quad split view, to give you multiple camera angles as we're doing the sampling. Just to note that as we're progressing with the dive, collectively, if there is a better layout of the quad split that works better for the team collaboratively, if you can relay that to watch leads here on the ship, I can modify those on the fly. At the moment, I'm going to modify them for best views for sampling.
All right, and co-pilot does look like the port slider is clear. Can you spin up hydraulics?
Yeah. Do you want me to test the sliders or?
No, I think I'm that. So it's good. Got my camera there. So now just keep an eye on Sirius and HIPAC and visually.
Copy that.
The ship hasn't moved in a while, right?
No, it has not.
That's right. We were waiting on that move, right?
Okay, we're setting up. The pilots are stabilizing the remotely operated vehicle. ROV arms will be coming into view.
You have port?
Port, yeah.
Okay. Do you
can see the shadow
and then get the lid and
of
yeah, I'll poke first. Let's
the
okay, so hydraulics are on.
starboard arm.
Yes, hydraulics are up and on.
Well, you could. You will in a minute. Here comes the manipulator arm, and what the pilots are going to do is they're going to sort of poke at that rock, just make sure that it's not attached to the seafloor, because we cannot pull up the entire seafloor.
We could try.
And just for reference, the length of the manipulator from its wrist down to its tip is maybe 9 inches or so.
Bring Mini Zeus over to the box. Sorry.
And permission to zoom in.
Roland, do you copy?
Permission to zoom in tight on Sirius.
For a minute, we're using that to keep an eye on.
On the control screen that you showed us yesterday, which is the selection to get to the sample data entry screen?
Rotating over slightly.
That's good.
All right.
Roger that.
Oh, can you slide the slider in, actually?
Okay. Yes. Port wing is going to slide inboard.
Before picking up the rock sample,
that's it.
what the pilots are doing is using the manipulator, tip of the manipulator arm to open the box that the sample will go into. So these sample boxes can rotate forward of the vehicle so that the pilots can see it pretty well and get the samples inside those boxes.
Roland, can we zoom out slightly on the...
Nice pilot.
Okay. Yeah.
You can imagine, perhaps, how difficult it is actually to operate a manipulator arm when you're looking at a video screen. You don't have that parallax view that you have when, you're reaching for a soda can out of the refrigerator. Imagine if you're trying to do that from a movie screen or a TV screen. And this manipulator has a pressure control, so when objects are being picked up, the person operating that manipulator can actually sense the amount of pressure that they're using on a given sample. So if we're trying to pick up a piece of it, a coral or some other biological sample that's really delicate, they are able... Whoops,
Copy
doesn't
that.
look like that thing's moving.
Copy that, thank you.
No, I just caught the corner on another one.
Oh, okay.
It's okay.
Pilot says he just caught the corner and is going to try to grab it.
There we go.
Fantastic. Our pilots are so experienced. It's not actually easy to do this job, but they sure make it look easy.
Can you get my main HD there? Tilt up a bit.
All right, tilting up.
So we're going to take a good look at it, rotate it around.
Okay, ready video?
Yeah, lighting's not the best.
Looks good.
But,
Try to adjust later.
Looks good and
No,
encrusted
not
with
for this
manganese.
point.
We'll see what it is when we get it aboard.
very interesting shaped rock. Okay.
That was a very accommodating rock.
Okay.
It was
Pulling
very
out
loose.
wide.
All right.
Full wide.
Thank you, video.
So we will watch as the rock goes carefully into its chamber. Well
Nice
done.
pilot.
We actually got it.
All right.
And I actually logged it.
Yeah, of course.
With some help from Matt. Okay, to get back to collection. Got it. Okay.
It doesn't always
So
close
now
with the.
I can what?
Oh yeah.
The lid is flipping closed, and that rock is going to come home with us.
Port wings going outboard. And then
Okay, the ROV pilot is rotating the sample chamber back
volume.
out
Yes.
of the way of the video.
all right. Rotating
And we have
over.
our first rock. Yippee!
All right, stopped.
Now we're getting good video of where it came from.
Job pilot.
Okay.
Give you your cameras back. And disabling valve packs.
Okay, I'll get Sirius back up here.
Be done HPU.
It's slightly off to the
Disabling
starboard
HPU.
right there.
Okay. All right, co-pilot. I think if you come up a little and turn
I believe
right.
we're starting to drift it south just slightly.
Yeah, it looks like I drifted almost west.
But you are pretty much headed the correct way, so I guess I'll move up and forward.
Video. Sirius cam is full
Okay.
wide, correct?
The ROV at the moment is
Yes, sir, they
oriented
wanted
at
to.
about 240 degrees, and we're going to swing around and head more or less north along the ridge that we landed on.
So what is that?
What is
Coral.
that?
They had coral up in the upper right.
The fan.
Take a look.
Yes, please.
The currents have gotten better. I don't know if I'm in the shelter of a part of the ridge or if they're actually getting lower.
Looks like it might be
They-
another bamboo
They
coral.
don't seem to change at depth.
Okay.
So I think
Again,
you're in
these are the
shelter.
types of precious corals that we're interested in documenting.
So this is just another Okeanos.
Right, so we definitely can.
There's a yellow colony off to the right, which I think is
Yep.
something different.
Okay, that's good.
Off the edge of the right.
Okay, so yeah, pilot, we can go ahead. We've seen this before,
Okay.
and we can go ahead and move over to the right. It looks like there's something that looks like it's on the side on that crevice.
Oh, kind of
So
under
there's
that
a-
rock. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. That's it.
One.
Yeah, because the other is a
This
crinoid.
is one of the deep scleractinians.
Oh, okay. Let's take a look at that.
So we're looking at the coral nestled underneath the rock ledge.
Yeah, right. Do you think that's actually nestled there or caught there? Huh. Let's take a look. We'll take a closer look at that one.
That's cool. The fish are swimming in and out underneath the edges of these slabs.
Okay, video.
Great
It's all you.
protection for them.
Okay. Oh, very cool. So you're seeing brittle stars in there, hydroids. Okay.
To partial.
So this is one of the deeper scleractinians. I'm pretty sure it's in the genus Analopsamia and maybe even Analopsamia rostrata. So yeah, it was kind of nice. That's the first one we've seen on the dive so far to show that these guys are here.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, we don't need a sample of that, do we, Chris?
No, I don't think so. This is a very, very common type of deepwater scleractinian that occurs all over the place. So I think we'll pass on this one. And
okay, but let's keep looking at that because, yeah, what's that over to the right? The real wavy branching that we saw earlier. Any ideas on that? I hate to say it's a sponge. Bryozoan, you're thinking it's a bryozoan? Let's see. Diva saying bryozoan.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. We can go ahead and zoom out on that and keep on moving.
On your clear video.
Pulling out.
So nav and Copilot ahead of me, and up I see some features. So maybe I'll just rise up ahead.
Okay, that sounds good.
And before we move on.
Okay.
Copy that.
Actually, we could do it in parallel, I guess. I'll go up and ahead, and you guys can do a.
You want that 30-meter move?
Yeah. That 30-meter move would be good. Kind of far out here now.
Copilot, I'm looking at 335. Is that still what you want?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Copy that. Bridge, ROV nav.
ROV nav, this bridge.
We'd like to get a 30-meter move at 335 degrees, 0.2 knots.
So I copy a 30-meter move, 335 degrees, 0.2.
Good copy.
And is our bailout still 180?
Center HD2.
Yes.
Copy, thanks.
Copy that video.
I'm seeing a lot of these rock slabs.
Pilot, can I study your lasers?
Oh, yeah.
I've got it in the quad split
low enough here. I'm
stream
going to try
3.
just aiming in our direction of motion and see what happens.
Rotating now video. How's that video?
That's very good.
Okay.
Definitely protected here.
Moving along this rather irregular
to the side,
topography here.
95 though, aren't you?
Again, continuing to see the octocorals, crinoid sponges that we saw just slightly deeper.
This is the ROV, right? I was looking. Yeah. I just. Oh.
Yeah, I'm about 50% over. Not so bad.
So here we are back in this area of patchwork of flat blocks, well, flat patches, and then between them something looks like it has grown up geologically. Oh, here we go, a cliff. Cliffs always have critters. Cliffs are good.
White sponges, demo sponges sticking out from the edge, the upper edge of that slab, the mini cliff.
Yeah.
And other things that are growing on the top of it.
And look at the current moving animals through the water column. It's just so amazing. You know, you were looking at the bathymetry to pick the dive track, and it's just smooth. And you get down here, and it's not smooth.
Really irregular.
It's phenomenal. It's always different from what you expect.
So now that I think, or at least we're a little more stable, we can try to pick our moves based on these high points.
I'm wondering if one of the reasons we're not seeing more coral colonies is because the substrate is pretty unstable. Is it breaking up a lot?
Certainly is, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of chunks of talus beneath these cliffs, and if
It might be slightly more to
if
our
corals
port side,
prefer
though.
to, you know,
I think that's you. that's
attach
right there.
themselves right to the edge of some promontory,
So I am more to the port side.
that's
of the screen. So
a
next week we can
friable
try to angle
material
sears
or
that
an
way.
easily broken material, then sure enough, if there are any earthquakes in this area, you know, those edges just pop off, like the big one that's kind of right in the center of the screen about now. There's just a big slab that fell off the layered material that you see in sort of the top of the video screen right now. And this area is seismically active.
And again, it seems like the dominant fauna in the area, these beautiful yellow crinoids that are able to grab onto the bottom, whether it's the rock or whether it's a sponge.
Do you want to zoom here on this
rather
crack?
octocoral. They're able to hang on. The sponges that have a very firm base of attachment along the ridges.
Partial.
Thank you.
Now, is that what is that little animal below to the left of the lasers?
Oh, yeah, I see underneath that ledge. I don't
Is that
know.
an urchin?
It could be. It could be.
Go down and check it out.
Yeah, it's at about 8 o'clock on your screen.
Kind of spiky in that.
Yes,
crack there.
that's it.
Okay.
Yep, looks like it might be an urchin. Yep.
Is it similar to the one we saw kind of in the beginning of the dive with the little fish?
I don't know. The
hiding behind it?
spines look like they're a lot smaller on this.
Could it just be a younger individual?
I don't know.
Okay.
Tara Hummer Luke from Stockton College in my home state of New Jersey is weighing in on this.
Oh, I see. We're going to have to wait for the pilots orient the ROV so that the lights actually shine on it. Because I noticed as we go.
Do you want to try just
you know,
getting coming from here?
Oh, yeah.
It won't be very stable, but actually, if you just go wide, I'll try to.
It is wide.
Yeah, okay.
I guess it's not.
Yeah, it's part of the problem.
So what happens here is that the pilot and the videographer are talking back and forth to each other. We're all working together as a team. We say, hey, we'd like to see that. You folks on shore saying, can we get a closer look? We communicate that to the pilot. He makes sure that the ROV is positioned where he can actually get in and get the shot. He then communicates directly with our videographer, who's Roland right now. And then that way Roland can set up to zoom in, get a nice picture. But again, they're trying to manipulate the lighting
you
there.
Port lower, you deploy it out, so it kind of lights.
Yeah,
there you go. You can see the lighting come and go. Sorry, Patty.
Yes.
No, it's okay, Shirley. We're a team.
Yes. We're used to interrupting each other.
We've known one another for
a long time. But we've never sailed together.
That's true, and this is really wonderful.
I know. I know.
Do you want a little rotate now?
Keep deploying.
Oh, you want to keep going?
Yeah, we'll stow it once we're done. But
Copy that.
Yeah, it's a real trick
and then do
for
a little
for the pilots right here on this dive. If anybody is just joining us, what we've been experiencing is pretty strong currents.
Very strong currents.
We are on a ridge on the flank of Ferdinand de Mindanilla. It is a very small island, part of the Northern Mariana Islands, and controlled by the, excuse me, cough, I think I'm getting cold, the CNMI. And we're now in position to take a
Wow, look at all
close
those
look.
little tube feet that are just like
It was an urchin.
moving
I
around.
was
As
right.
yes, yes, of course you were.
Oh, man. From
Beautiful. That's really beautiful. Yeah, Diva says that they saw these on leg 1.
And there's a hermit crab coming up to say hello.
Sorry, Chris, we're walking all over you. Come again.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get an idea on the urchin here. So this is not a sedarid, like I put it in the chat room. This is actually a pedinid, and I'm pretty sure it's Cynopedina pulchella, and it's a species that is the same as what we have here in Hawaii, or something very, very similar.
Okay. Once we're finished with that and we zoom out, Pilot, there was something a little bit down, a little bit to the right of this urchin, not in that ledge, but in a crevice.
Okay, video
Just
when
want to
you're
take
clear.
a look at that whenever you're done with your video.
And co-pilot, you can stow, go left on that swing arm and then stow it.
There, you see that kind of cluster of whitish tubes?
White fuzz.
Yeah,
I see
white
that.
tubes. There you go. Your laser dots are just to the left of it.
Okay, turning to look. Okay, video, go in.
Oh, okay. So that's a beautiful little glass sponge, hexactin. Oh, okay. So that's a beautiful little glass sponge. Hexactinellid sponge is the name of that. Fair amount of sediment on it, but it looks like there are live portions of it and brittle stars, as usual, that are associated with these glass sponges, as well as many other demo sponges. And video, when you're done with this, you can zoom out.
Okay, video's clear.
All right.
And then once we've zoomed out, we can move along.
Okay, co-pilot, I have you looking at 330 for that high ahead of you, about 25 meters. What do you think?
Yeah, let me just rotate a little.
If you change your heading there, I'll hop ahead. And then we can get the ship moving.
Okay, so I'm at about 335 right now.
See how it looks at 330.
Yeah, I'm roughly there.
Okay, let's find it.
So that looks pretty close. I'll rotate a little more.
Yeah, maybe even a little more.
325 and see where that puts us.
Nice.
Our depth is 522 meters.
It's very interesting coral there. With
Proceeding along the transect that we all agreed upon to explore this area of FDM2. What is that red?
Looks like an interesting coral there.
It does look like an interesting one. Yeah, in the upper right, yeah. It looks like more, yeah, both of those are really interesting. Why
don't we take a look at the one in the upper right?
Yeah, so I guess
and then we can move along.
Because we'll be a little further
on.
Well, I just sat down for this one.
Okay, this is part. That's fine. That's good. That's fine.
Thank you.
All right, video.
Wow.
Tilt up here.
Oh gosh.
Look at the Spanish moss.
That's something called bubblegum coral.
Max zoom.
Tina, are you still thinking that, who was it that called that a bryozoan before? Are you still thinking bryozoan on that? Because I'm almost thinking it might be sponge on that wavy green. I think that's a sponge. I actually think that's a sponge, a demo sponge, yes. Wow. Now that I can see the close-up of it. Yeah, and this beautiful bubblegum coral.
Now, Shirley, what are the tiny white specks that we're seeing along the arms of this waving animal?
Okay, so those are the actual polyps that are sticking out from the skeleton. So that's
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
On the wavy light.
On the
wavy
stuff.
The stuff you're saying is a sponge.
It looks like it might be. Yeah, it looks like it might just be sediment. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Not some sort of commensal teeny tiny thing.
Say, Chris thinks it's green algae.
Well,
we'll take a closer look at it.
We have a mystery
We
here.
do have a mystery.
I love the mystery.
Yeah, Bruce also thinks if this is he's wondering if this is algae that's been swept down slope and snagged on the corals and other things. We don't know.
Now, here we go, folks. You know, each of us has our own specialty, and usually if we don't know what something is, we say it's something that's in our specialty.
Would you like a closer look?
Sako Matsumoto from Japan is thinking the same thing. It's she's also thinking, could it be egg sacs?
Look at that white colony to the left of the Paragorgia. That could be a corallium of some kind. It's to the lower left of the Paragorgia,
right,
that white
Chris.
fan-shaped colony.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, Pilot, you see that fan-shaped?
I do on the left there.
Yes, that's it, Pilot. If you could go in and take a look at that, please.
Wow, you know, there are just tons of critters on this. Just in the beginning of the dive. This is amazing.
Oh, okay. Now that looks like that's also hard coral there. What do you think? Scott, Chris, Diva?
It's Scott's turn.
All right, let me get out my trusty field guide here.
Well, I'm not sure why, but people can't seem to hear me. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yeah, hear you just great.
Oh, okay. There must be something wrong with my with the speakerphone. Anyway, this looks like a scleractinian coral to me, so it's a hard coral, stony coral.
Yep.
Well, we saw the yellow one earlier that was possibly Enelopsamia, and I am not an expert in the stony corals, but I would guess that this might be the same genus. Chris may have a different opinion.
Okay, how are we doing on the video on that? Everybody happy with the video? Roland, you good with the video?
Just get one full screen and we're done. Just need to get a full screen and we'll call it.
Got it.
All right. You want the lasers? They're just off the bottom there.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, so we know what the scale is on this as well.
The scale, for those of you watching at home, is 10 centimeters. That's about 4 inches.
Go wide. Okay, watch lead. Anything else in this spot, or should we move on?
I think we can move on. Thank you.
Moving on.
Now, Chris, would these red corals be ones that would be considered precious corals, or these ones that would be harvested for jewelry, or not?
They would be harvested to chew.
I don't think so.
Bubblegum coral.
All right, coming up and ahead.
All right, I'm going to come up slightly.
Once I'm out ahead, we can do another 30
Shirley, he just steps out, but this is Diva. As far as I know, paragorgids are not harvested commercially, but Scott can jump in and tell me if I'm wrong.
You are correct, Diva. Paragorgiids are not harvested commercially. They don't have the hard skeleton like the corallium.
Okay.
So those would not be considered precious corals.
Okay, so my experience with the bamboo corals is that they're really, really fragile. So why are they considered to be precious coral? Making necklaces out of that?
It's possible you just have bad luck with the particular bamboo corals that you're sampling. Many of them are actually very strong.
Okay.
Very thick skeletons. The long internodes are calcium carbonate, so they can be extremely rigid like a stony coral. But there are some, especially around the Bahamas, where you may be sampling, that are extremely fragile.
Yeah, and that's where I have a lot of my experience. They're also very mucus, too, when you collect them. They're very, very slimy.
Hey, let's get another ship move of 30 meters, 320 degrees, 0.2 knots.
meters, 320 degrees?
Yes, good copy.
I would say that their slime approaches that of hagfish, which my colleague and friend Tammy Frank would always precedes with the word disgusting hagfish. And I know that's offensive to some of you fish people, but they're pretty slimy also. Fortunately, we're not seeing any of those kind of shallow, maybe.
The black corals, in my opinion, or in my experience, I guess I should say, tend to produce even more mucus. And there's quite a lot of variability. Some bamboo corals produce less mucus than others, and even some of those Paragorgia can produce an extreme amount of mucus. And,
right, and the black, yeah.
Vary from species to species.
Yeah, and the black coral and the mucus is not only disgusting muky stuff, but it's black disgusting muky stuff.
Hey, pilot, do you want your sonar still that far, or do you want it at 30 meters?
You can go to 30.
Copy.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. I thought it speeds it up too.
Okay, we are moving
if I
right
go to
along. We
low,
are at 517 meters now.
I think this is a good compromise.
Oh, so Tina's questioning why I called that coral disgusting. No. The coral itself isn't. It's the disgusting mucus that they produce.
And look at the little garden up in front of us at the top of the, well, just left the top of the view screen. But
And again, we're seeing some sponges, these white organisms that are firmly encrusting with their base on the rock. Probably demo sponges in the family Pacastrellidae. Just quickly, just a quick zoom. We saw them earlier.
Yes, lasers are coming off.
There's a little crinoid sitting on that guy.
I think that.
Is that a crinoid?
No.
C-pen?
We'll just look around.
C-pen? Don't know what it is.
Yeah, beautiful sponge. Okay.
All right, you can go.
Very
on.
nice.
Video, you hear me?
Yes, but I hear you. Sorry. What'd you say?
You can go partial. Get
Sorry,
the whole.
I was lost in the image.
Nice.
Partial.
There's a little pink thing.
There are a lot of ophiuroids or brittle
there.
stars in the crevices here that you can see as
zoom
well.
in on the shrimp.
There's also a fiddler crab with an anemone on its back.
Watch it. I'm just zooming on.
There's a shrimp
And looks
walking
like maybe,
along.
yeah,
And what is the little pink thing it's approaching?
looks like a little soft coral.
Haven't seen that before. Didn't see that. Oh, the shrimp is
Are
checking
they
it out.
nymphalids? I don't know. Yep, shrimp's checking it out. And although not in focus right now because we're focusing on these smaller things in the center of the screen, it looks like up ahead is a hermit crab, and it looks a lot like the one that Diva and Deb saw on the first leg where there was an anemone.
Oh, but it looks like it has a shell.
It has both.
And the anemone's on
Inside
the shell.
that shell, yeah.
So it's
you're
not
right.
quite the same one
Yeah, you're right.
that they saw that uses the anemone basically
Right.
as a shell.
Yep.
That was a weird
very
hermit
weird.
crab. And that one also
It freaked
had
Deb out.
really long legs.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, that's right. Because it kind of like hopped along the bottom like like a Star Wars
Yep.
thing. I'm making like motions like everybody can see me. Okay, beautiful. Moving on up.
Boy.
Serious as
Yeah,
all
I sure
cut.
want to see what all that stuff is up ahead. Looks like it's mostly sponges.
Yeah, probably the same
But
thing.
there are some things sticking up off the seafloor that aren't sponges. Now, Shirley, I'm curious about the morphology of these sponges. I could see that they look like long, thin ribbons, and
They-
most of the sponges I've seen are, kind of have a stalk and then stick up in the water column.
So there are almost 9,000 different species of sponges.
Holy smoke.
Yeah, lots of them. And so that's why we have to be really careful about trying to identify them just from sight, unless you've had a lot of experience. Chris Kelly, for example, has had a lot of experience with
All right,
deep water
what do you guys
sponges
think? The heading for the next.
from Hawaii
It's a little bit too cold.
and in some other deep water locations as well. But not all sponge fans are the same. In fact, there are both demo sponges and hexactinellate or glass sponges that have the same kind of morphology where they have a very firm, like long base. So it's instead of having a fan with a single stalk, they're attached all along the bottom.
Let's do it.
Yeah, 310.
Is there anything from the shore-based folks that you'd like to take a look at?
Bridge, RV Nav.
Not particularly right here. I think we've got a lot of that's already imaged unless somebody sees
purple coral.
Diva is just pointing out that purple coral that's in the upper center quadrant.
Upper center quadrant, purple coral.
In the distance?
Oh, I see where it
in the
is.
distance.
Yeah, it's sort of sitting on that ridge.
Yep, and our pilot sees
You
it
can
also.
tell because they're zooming toward it.
Would you like to look at
We
it?
have great
Yes,
pilots.
please, pilot.
I'm used to listening to Diva, so I just automatically went there.
That's okay. We work together as a really good team. So a lot of times the pilots they're looking around, the pilot, co-pilot, navigator looking around, checking to see what's in the distance.
There's also a little sea star.
Yeah, there's also kind of a frilly sponge that might be a different type of sponge called
over to the right.
Over to the
That-
right.
that thing.
So we'll look at the purple coral first, and then zoom back over and look at that frilly sponge over to the whichever one works for you best because you're positioning first. So eventually we're going to look at that.
Actually, the frilly sponge immediately below the purple looks like it's the same species
thing, yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Okay, video. It's all you.
Yes.
Swimming in.
Oh, that's pretty. Beautiful. Another stony coral with a tightly wrapped brittle star around it.
Hanging on for dear life.
And what we don't know, whether it's algae bryozoan or sponge.
We didn't see that on any of the corals in... no, we did see the purple coral, but for leg 1, we did not see this stuff on the corals.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. It does look like it was snagged as opposed to just being attached.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh,
look
just
at that
caught.
color, the orange and purple together. Very cool.
I'm
Okay,
thinking-
so Chris Kelly is calling this a Victor Gorgia, and it has the polyps closed up. So we're not seeing the polyps extended out of the skeleton of this coral, which is called Victor Gorgia. Not Victor Borgia.
So I'm not absolutely sure on that ID.
So we should put a question mark next to it.
Pictures of polyps.
Yeah.
I'm hoping maybe Scott or Sako can weigh in on what this is.
Tilt down.
Osako, do you happen to know what this is?
Tilting my whole RV.
He might be typing.
Right.
Nav, how much is left in the move?
We have 16 meters left.
You want to stop here?
Yeah, maybe pause that.
Because I want to see the sponge too.
Video is clear.
Okay.
Right,
Let's get the
RV nav.
lasers on Copilot.
Lasers are on.
Can you go out to
RV nav
lasers
is
video?
correct.
Let's go ahead and hold here, please.
Lasers are in the image.
See it? All right.
Holding here.
Okay, watch lead. Was it the frilly sponge down below?
Yes, it
That
was.
is a bubblegum coral.
There's one
Yeah,
down
that
below
one. Yeah, there you go. There's that one right there. Yeah.
video.
and a larger specimen to the right.
So
off
this
screen.
right. So this looks like it's of a group of demo sponges. So not hexactinellate or glass sponges, but demo sponges that also have siliceous spicules made out of silica. But this sponge belongs to kind of an artificial group called the lithistid sponges. So it's kind of related to that white sponge, but in this particular, that we've been seeing all along, but in this particular sponge, it's called lithistid, which means like rock-like, because the silica spicules interlock and make it very, very rigid. You can see on this beautiful zoom in, you can also see some of the canal structure of the sponge.
Have we seen this before?
I think we saw some on leg 1. I believe we saw some lithistids. I'm not sure if this particular one or not. I'm going to guess and say that this is in the family Corallistidae, but that's just a guess. Okay, video, when you're finished, we're good with, whenever you're finished and ready to zoom out, you can. So on the upper surface of the sponge, excellent video. Also, you can see kind of the little pores, again, through which the sponge either takes in water and microscopic particles that it feeds on, or shoots them back out, shoots out the waste.